Good grief, Bayonetta 3 took a while to come out, didn't it? Like, among other things, I've been waiting for No More Heroes 3, Splatoon 3, and Bayonetta 3. Like, this trifecta of trilogies, and now I finally get to give Bayonetta the love she deserves. No, not like that, get your head out of the gutter. You know, there are so many amazing games coming out right now, like end of 2022, that I'm actually glad Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm actually glad it got delayed. And just think about that for a second, yeah? There are so many good games sucking up my time and money. I'm actually relieved that the sequel to the greatest game of all time is taking longer to get here. Like, the only thing I hate more about myself than that feeling is how I forget to take that heart off the door every single time we start recording. Nope, I'll reference it now. May as well keep it in. Come on, let's go. Hey guys, I'm Comire, this is Start Select, and we're looking at what exactly makes combos feel so damn good. Lots of video games feature combat, and in particular, combos. But seeing how the word is used in hack and slashers, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Crazy Taxi, Tetris, rhythm games, and even Candy Crush, what does combo even mean? The concept kinda started with side-scrolling beat-em-ups in the late 80s, but really came into force after 1991 Street Fighter 2. Players found the split second an attack hits, they could fire another attack without waiting for the first one to finish, landing unending punches and kicks, which every other fighting game looked at and went, yeah, we'll take that. In fighting games, any particular attack is performed by pressing a particular button combination, like down quarter circle forward punch for Ryu's Hadouken, or back forward kick to make Liu Kang tie shoelaces with someone's teeth. This means your average fighting game may have 20 plus characters, each with 30 plus moves. To many people, that's an infinite land of expressive combinations, but to many others it's an intimidating learning exercise, akin to memorizing all the Pokemon type matchups, or memorizing every name of every member in every Korean pop band. In fact, Street Fighter 6 has tried to help with an additional control scheme, reducing the 6 buttons for light, medium and heavy punches and kicks to 3 buttons for all light, medium and heavy attacks, plus a 4th button and direction for special moves. Hopefully it works as a nice middle ground between tapping a large square to launch an ultra combo and having to learn 100 different moves to use a damn panda. In action games, the main character tends to have a light attack, heavy attack, ranged attack and dodge. Sometimes they may have a way to gain height, a different form or more powered up mode, or just a whacking great special attack that looks like an atom bomb insulted Zeus on his period. Sometimes the attacks can be strung into a predefined sequence, but usually combos come from creatively mixing up attacks without stopping or getting hits. So generally, a combo is a series of successful actions, like attacks, that ends if too much time passes or an opponent, be it computer controlled or real person, is able to respond between actions. We'll be focusing on action games and the bits that make it feel awesome when you mash out the most satisfying 50-hit combo. Or, if you're like me and you found the one move you like and stick to it for the entirety of a 14-hour game. And where better to start than the artists of action, Platinum Games. Co-founder Atsushi Inaba described action games as experiences where a player is always reacting to something. That even though the word action implies you being proactive, something else needs to happen first, like an enemy suddenly appearing or an attack coming at you for you to actually have something to do. So, they start by creating a gameplay situation, as in the enemies and objectives, and then work out the abilities you'll need to beat it, as in your combos and how naked you'll need to be to do your combos. For that to work, you need enemies with well-telegraphed animation, so you can tell what they're about to do, whose appearance easily informs you whether they're going to be light and agile, or a slow heavy hitter, or attack with fire, or have a shield that needs to be destroyed first, or anything else. And if I can grab a weapon from their hot steaming carcass, that's always a bonus too. If you think about it, playing a game is just pressing buttons. And in high-pressure situations, not everyone knows what button to mash at the right time. But you ever notice when you're pressing, whether it's lightning-fast jabs in Smash Brothers or fiery slashes in God of War, there's always cool-looking stuff happening on the screen, even though you've absolutely no idea what you're doing? When you press a button, games make the visual, aural and spatial effect of every move impressive to make sure you feel like a boss when you press those buttons. And if you press those buttons enough times, you'll fill up a button pressing meter that lets you activate a super special attack, rewarding your button presses with a visual spectacle, increased damage and more motivation to keep pressing buttons. Combos are made of attacks that do something well. Maybe there's a strong attack that does big damage, or a fast attack that opens up a chance for more moves. Maybe one that hits from a distance, or hits a wide area. An attack that pushes the enemy away, or pulls them closer, or drags them into the air. Maybe you inflict a status, or stun the enemy, or break their guard harder than a girl's self-image after reading a magazine.
Don't push me, because one of the reasons I became a therapist is I've always been able to zero in on a person's greatest insecurity.
Oh, I'm real scared, Molly. What you gonna do?
Eyebrows.
Eyebrows. Like, that's gonna make you...
Defensive options also count here. A block might stop damage while staying in place. A parry might reflect damage back. Or a dodge quickly repositions you and maybe trigger slow motion. When you can quickly play the right moves at the right time, it feels incredible, making you look like Jackie Chan if the invincibility cheat turned on. And to keep your attacks from getting overpowered and boring, each of them should have a trade-off, like leaving you exposed if you miss, or getting overpowered by other attacks, or using up a resource. Plus, it's fun when there's an internal consistency across the entire repertoire of moves. You know, when From Software games make all their attacks slow and deliberate, or Platinum games make them all fast and frantic, or like when boxers only fight with their fists and Bruce Lees only fight with their Bruce Lee. When attacks can have more understanding to them than a kid going Hulk on a piñata, it feeds into an idea that a lot of games want to achieve. That idea is called depth. A definition for depth is kinda like Youngblood's sexuality. It can be a bit hard to nail down. But it's largely around gameplay that can be enjoyed simply by starter players, and intricately by innovative players. At the same talk, Atsushi Inaba explained that a Platinum game often has features that most people will enjoy playing once, and advanced features that few people would ever put the time in to see. A casual player wrecking shop in the Legend of Korra game might use the full attack combos in the 4 different elements, maybe using them where each one excels. Water hits long range, fire is up close, earth launches enemies skywards, and air hits all around. But a committed player might realise you can switch elements mid-combo, and with some well-timed button presses, land more hits on a bad guy than Billie Eilish with an electric hammer. In Astral Chain, a casual player would fight with one of their law enforcement demons at a time, potentially not thinking much of an unassuming unlockable skill called Hit Rush that makes your crime-fighting Hellspawn lash out on its own for a bit. But the committed player will find you can bring out a second high-security White Walker while the first is attacking, and wreak havoc with 2 at once. Likewise in Bayonetta 3, summoning a demon to fight means Bayonetta is locked in place. But when the demon is out, you can register 2 attacks and let go back to Bayonetta while those attacks play out, effectively allowing simultaneous control of the beauty and the beast. Many Platinum Games titles have a technique called dodge offset, which lets you start a combo, dodge partway through, then carry on the combo where you left off. Funny thing though, that's never mentioned inside a game. A weird thing about depth is, uncovering those hidden layers yourself feels better than being told. It's way more thrilling when the interested girl in that bar in Thailand lets you find her secret for yourself, rather than dangling the advanced tutorial up front. Or hey, maybe you prefer to be told everything. Does it matter if a game tells you its special techniques or not? Let me know in the comments. I mean, I only use them so I don't have to see another shoddy score at the end of a level. Video game's universal passive-aggressive message that I can do a little better if I tried a little harder. Shut up, Devil May Cry, you're not my real dad! It's worth mentioning, games will often smooth the edges for the overall experience. For example, parrying or dodging enemy attacks can often be very easy to master, meaning high action combo gameplay shortly turns into waiting for enemies to attack first or looking for the flashing Spidey sense indicator that looks like Rudolph the reindeer trying to find his car. To fight that, a game might make the window for success smaller, or limit how many you can do, or increase the recovery time. On the other hand, going so aggressive that enemies are so busy being pummeled you don't have to think can also get dull. So, facing Bayonetta against the occasional opponent with super armor, or getting Dante attacked from multiple angles, helps keep things interesting. After all, the Bayonetta series is basically the same as Devil May Cry, just swap the focus between guns and melee, swap bright white hair for a jet black Doom, and swap Hell Demons and Raw Sex Appeal for Hell Demons and Raw Sex Appeal. Knowing the right attack at the right time feels great, but winning takes more than that. You can know which golf club to use for a particular swing, or the right number of blow darts to take down a rampaging Ezra Miller, but none of it matters unless you can physically do it. Some amount of physical skill is needed to press the buttons in a certain order within a certain time frame, which you might suck at first. Because part of the joy of combos is getting better and better at them. Being able to look at how much you've improved, realizing how it started and how it's going, and kicking so much posterior, anyone watching couldn't say it didn't look cool. And trust me, any game looks awesome when done well. Just search in YouTube any action game followed by the phrase combo video. You won't be disappointed. Even the different ways you can press a button feels good, which game makers have been tastefully sprinkling into their combo systems like pronouns in a work email. Repeatedly mashing a button for the initial hits, holding down then releasing a button for an increasingly powerful attack. A delay in between button presses which feels better after you overpower the part of your brain that wants to bash the controller like a whack-a-mole. Pressing two things at once, like a direction and a face button, which again takes some brain power but feels more intentional. Pressing a button near an environmental element for a special animation. Or giving a specific input in time, also known as a QuickTime event, sometimes to trigger a grand finishing animation, providing all the cathartic closure your biological dad never did. Having no more than a couple of these adds variety and crescendo to a game's combos. And the sights and sounds of each hit are hugely important in letting you know an attack landed, had an effect, and motivates you to never stop kicking their teeth in. Animators use exaggerated wind-ups, pausing on impact, and deliberate follow-through to really sell the weight to an attack. Sound designers use booming impact noises, hurt enemy sounds, and character exertions so you know when you've done some damage. And lighting and special effects use shockwaves, coloured motion lines, and more to articulate an attack, as well as a healthy amount of slowdown, screen shake, and motion blur when you land a hit so big the Avengers want to ask you out to brunch. Combos need to be easy to learn but hard to master, allowing you to play with freedom and with purpose, all while looking incredible. They feed into our escapist power fantasy, letting us enter a flow state, like the suspension of disbelief during a film or getting lost in a book. You're one with your character and the game, and nothing will break that combo. Nothing except Zeus on his period. And there we have it, but here's a follow-up for you. It's the Comire Corner, with a mind-blowing series of things you didn't know were possible in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Seriously, that game is more incredible than you know. Give it a watch. But before you do, tell me your favourite combos in a game. Me? I like Horror Warriors Age of Calamity and the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games. With 2 face buttons you can basically get an 18-year-old to level a small village. How about you? Let me know down below or chuck me a tweet. And, as always, I've been Comire, this has been Start and Select. Thank you, and good night. Keep in mind though, Fast and slow pacing isn't the same thing as good and bad pacing. What feels right depends on the game's story, the game's gameplay, and how the game develops you to be the best toilet-dwelling amateur MMA Johnny Knoxville ripoff you can be.